Hello, my name is Brandon Helms, and I am answering question number 2 about the Heidelberg Catechism from the book Know the Creeds and Councils by Justin Holcomb. Question number 2 asks this: how did the Heidelberg Catechism deal with the division of the 1500s? And then the second question is this: why is there so much emphasis on the goodness of God, and how does that resolve division? When we think about the growth, there's this rapid growth of Protestant Reformation in the early 1500s, and the reason there was this tremendous growth was because the Reformers decided to focus on the five solas, those being sola scriptura, sola fide, sola gratia, solus Christus, and sola Deo gloria. And of those five focuses, that's what they put their emphasis on, and instead of focusing on so many different things, they put all their eggs in that one basket. Well, Holcomb here states that is a double-edged sword, so to speak. The reason there's a double edge is the good component of that is that because they focused on those five elements, the church rapidly was able to grow because that was what they put as their primary focus. Well, that's the first edge of the sword. Well, the second edge of the sword is that because of that being their major focus, there were a lot of areas that there was able to be disagreement, there was dissent, and disputes that had come up among the Reformers. And so that's that double-edged sword. One of those major disagreements fell between the Lutheran and Zwinglian groups, and it was their belief in the presence of Jesus and the presence of Christ in the Lord's Supper. The Lutheran camp felt that Jesus was literally present in the Lord's Supper when that was practiced. The Zwinglians were opposed to this. They believed that with Christ being seated at the right hand of the Father, they felt that was a contradiction, that Christ can't be seated at the right hand of the Father while at the same time being present in the Lord's Supper. And so their belief was that Christ was there in a spiritual sense, not in the physical sense. That's one of those arguments. And so that's the reason why there was this great division. And so then the next question is, why is there emphasis on the goodness of God, and how did this resolve division? Well, you see there's this goodness of God because, as Holcomb states, the overarching goal of the Heidelberg Catechism was to lead to salvation and to comfort. He says that there was the major divisions of the law and the gospel. Then inside of that were these other divisions. We see the misery of man, the deliverance of man, and the thankfulness of man. And so as we transition through those to get to the thankfulness of man, we're able to see the goodness of God. And so ultimately, that final question, part of that question is, how does this resolve division? Well, the reason is because it brought unity to what the Reformers were trying to accomplish. Instead of, they continued to focus on the five solas, but also with the five solas comes the Heidelberg Catechism, that it takes care of all of those other issues. The focus then became on the focus of the Catechism was on the major fundamental issues of their faith, and it left minor issues of their faith to a personal conviction. And I think that's where this division began to find unity.